Good Friday morning. I'm Matt Carothers, and welcome to another edition / installment of everybody's favorite 30-minute horse racing program. At least 98.7% of you feel that way. Big show over the next 30 minutes. You've been waiting for this moment, all year. I am finally, for the first time, going to reveal my 2012 top 10 Kentucky Derby list. That's right. We're going to reveal that during the show. We're going to do it momentarily. And it makes sense because we have some real good three-year-old races this weekend. Our spotlight race, the John Battaglia Memorial at Turfway Park. And interesting race in New York in the Gotham, which Hanson's going to be your heavy favorite, but a big field and some other horses that make some sense in that race. We'll have our always popular Saturday play of the day and handicap some other races on the outstanding Saturday card in New York. And I'll be doing it with a man who's 5 inches to my left, a man who we call the professor, who will probably be critiquing my Derby top 10 list here in just a second. Rich Perloff. Hi, Rich.
I'll critique them if I've actually heard of them. That's where I am with my Derby top 10. It takes me a while. I'm a little behind the top 10 list curve, quite frankly. People say, who's your Derby pick? And I say, you need to contact me about mid-April. That's when I'm ready to go.
It is getting kind of exciting, though.
It's always exciting.
Right. I mean, now we're in March. Now we have some of these, big races. Now we have a lot of the stars running. It seems like every weekend in the month of March, whether it's the San Felipe on March 10th or whether it's the Tampa Bay Derby on March 17th or the Spiral of 24th or the Florida Derby March 31st. I mean, every weekend we have an important three-year-old race.
Yeah, and we're at the point now where week by week we're going to see horses and their connections looking at the calendar. They're working out timing in between starts, projecting how we get to the Kentucky Derby in the best possible shape, and graded stakes earnings. We're going to be talking about that more and more and more. You've got several horses who are already locked in at Churchill Downs. As long as all goes well for them, they've already earned their way into that race, whereas for other horses, wins or good second-place finishes in the major big money graded stakes races are going to become very important.
And you want to wager on the Kentucky Derby. You want to wager on all these prep races.
I generally do.
As well. I mean, many of these races, again, Hanson's going to be a heavy favorite in the Gotham on Saturday, but if you try to beat Hanson, I don't know who your second choice is going to be in that race. Your second choice is going to be probably 5 or 6 to 1 in terms of the odds. So you want to go to TVG.com and wager on all these prep races and wager on the Kentucky Derby as we're 2 months away. And I think it's that time. We're going to reveal the top 10 list. I want it to be dramatic.
Okay.
Rich, so we're going to start with number 10. And again,
it's time.
These Derby top 10 lists brought to you by Spendthrift Farm, home of the Breed Secure program, where if you don't profit, you don't pay. Visit spendthriftfarm.com for more details. Number 10, Creative Cause. This horse wins a grade 1, the Norfolk, as a 2-year-old. And we're looking at the San Vicente right now from Creative Cause. He runs 3rd in this race behind Drill. I thought the way he finished in this race. I know it's a 4-horse field. I know he beats 1 horse in the San Vicente, but the final 3/8 was running 35-2, and he actually made up a length doing so. So he finished well. He has the ability. He has the 2-year-old foundation. What do you make it to Creative Cause? Is that about right, you think, 10?
Yeah, I think that's about right. What's most interesting to me about this horse, I talked about it last year as a 2-year-old. He is the leading edge of a new philosophy, I think, for these connections. Heinz Steinman, the owner, and Mike Harrington, the trainer, they've been working together for a long, long time, and we've seen them winning at lower levels, but they've really upped the ante now. They're going to better stallions with their mares, and they've got a very nice 3-year-old here. Interesting to watch how he develops.
All right, number 9 on my list is a horse that I actually bet in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile and didn't run well in that race, had a troubled trip, and still didn't really matter. That's Alpha. He's been beating up on some, I think, kind of weak competition in New York. It looks like his next, it's going to be the Florida Derby, March 31st, the Wood on April 7th. I think it's going to be the Florida Derby. If Hanson wins the Gotham, Dominguez rides Hanson and Alpha. He's probably going to stick with Hanson, in the Wood Memorial. So, I think the connections of Alpha, Kieran McLaughlin, they want to keep Dominguez on for another race. I think the Florida Derby might be his next shot. I just don't know who he's been beating up on.
Yeah, I think that's the key point, is that we need to see how he really classes up.
Okay. I'm going to throw in a couple curveballs on this list. Most people's top 10 lists probably are not going to have a horse like this. How about Bob Baffert, Bodemeister? I mean, you name a horse after your kid. You probably think the horse has some ability, right? And in the second start of his career, he wins by 9 1/4 lengths in a maiden special. He has the pedigrees by Empire Maker. Every quarter of that race, sub 24. Every quarter sub 24, wins by nearly 10. Second start of your career, tremendous upside with that pedigree. I'll put Bodemeister. I'm not even sure where he's going to run this horse next.
Pletcher and Baffert, they just got a raft of talented three-year-olds, and they all move down the trail. You'll see the barns keeping them apart so they can rack up the graded stakes earnings, and then they'll kind of sort themselves out, one presumes, between now and Derby Day.
7 and 6 have already competed against each other. I have Spring Hill Farm at number 7, Unbridled Minister at number 6. And yes, I know Spring Hill Farm beat Unbridled Minister in an allowance event, but I still think Unbridled Minister might have a little bit more upside. Unbridled Minister by Unbridled Song, and here is that race over an off racetrack. Spring Hill Farm, kind of a freewheeling type, got away with a 47 1/2, and I like the way Unbridled Minister was closing into those slow fractions. Unbridled Minister, I think the Spiral will be his next start for trainer Kenny McPeak, and Spring Hill Farm, the Tampa Bay Derby on the 10th of March. And Spring Hill Farm, yes, another Todd Pletcher horse and a horse by Smart Strike. So McPeak 6, Pletcher 7.
Yeah, both very well bred, both lightly raced, and neither has yet raced around 2 turns, so there's still some questions about them.
All right, speaking of going 2 turns for the first time, number 5, Out of Bounds, looked very good going 2 turns for the first time, earned a 99 buyer, and winning the Sham first 2-turn event by Discreet Cat. San Felipe next for this horse, scheduled that'd be next weekend, March 10th. This was a pretty good win, in my opinion, and flattered by what some other horses did out of this race. But this is only your 3rd start of your career. You earned that kind of figure, first time going 2 turns. This is a good racehorse.
Well, that was Secret Circle, finishing second, beating only a half length, and he went over and won the much faster division of the Southwest Stakes coming out of that race at Oaklawn Park. Flattering Out of Bounds effort for sure.
Yeah, I think earning a 102, 103 buyer, low 100s.
Yeah, highest 2-turn buyer for a 3-year-old yet this year.
Yeah, so he beat it some quality, and he did it in a good final time. And I like his ability to set up the pace. Many of these horses on my top 10 list are kind of freewheeling horses that want to be near the lead. I like the fact that Out of Bounds is a horse who can sit off a little bit. Number 4, you're talking about pedigree. It doesn't get much better than this. When your father is AP Indy and your mom's Take Charge Lady, that's a situation with Take Charge Indy, who is number 4 on my list. Second to El Padrino, and earned a 96 buyer over an off track at Gulfstream. And Patrick Byrne, your conditioner here, and with the running style, with the pedigree, second to El Padrino, who again, obviously, is going to be on my list still, as we're only at number 4. With the pedigree and in his last performance, another horse that I think isn't even close to peaking.
Yeah, I know a lot of horses are very, very high on El Padrino, and I think that running second behind that guy after middle moving and hitting the front for Take Charge Indy bodes very well in the seasonal debut.
Tampa Bay Derby is going to be a salty race. I mean, Spring Hill Farm is scheduled to go in that race. So is Take Charge Indy, another race next weekend on the 10th of March. Number 3, Undefeated. Another runner. You're looking for horses with upside who have not peaked, obviously, 2 months away from the Derby. And Fed Biz, this is a serious racehorse who's undefeated at 3 for 3. And this horse is so talented that even though the San Felipe on the 10th of March is shaping up to be a pretty salty race with horses like Out of Bounds who've already won stakes races, I really think Fed Biz, he could be the favorite in the San Felipe based on his allowance win. That was a sparkling win at Santa Anita.
What's interesting is that he even got the opportunity to run an allowance race. How often do you see that, particularly for barns like this? Normally, you get the maiden win, and then they're looking for graded stakes action right away. Fed Biz being brought along very methodically by Bob Baffert, and he's got that luxury. And there's another very well-bred racehorse who seems to have unlimited upside.
I'd be remiss if I didn't give a little credit here with my list to our researcher extraordinaire, James Lee. We kid with James sometimes that, like, literally, I'm sure he already has a future play on Zenyatta's soon-to-be foal. I'm sure that's who James is. When horses are yearlings, he's starting to think future book for the Kentucky Derby. Nobody is more immersed in futures for the Derby or the Breeders' Cup than Mr. Lee, right?
Nobody that I know.
Is that fair?
No one that I know, absolutely.
So I want to give him some credit. He did help me with this I mean, most of the time I do everything on this show. It's me and Danielle, but James did help me with this particular list, and I do appreciate that. Number 2, Union Rags. The way he just won, it's like they weren't even trying. He wins the Fountain of Youth, and it looks like a workout at the end. And he's not favored in this race because Discreet Dancer's your favorite for Pletcher. Talk about putting away a favorite off a layoff and then winning for fun under a triple hammerlock late. What a performance.
I agree. That was a powerhouse effort for Union Rags, and you got to put it in context. This is a horse who's got scads of graded stakes dollars in the bank. So Michael Matz has the option of bringing him along just in as leisurely a manner as you please. And so you figure you're dealing with a horse who is at, what, 70%, 75%?
Yeah, right.
And he blows the doors off a field that was depleted, of course, by the scratch of algorithms. But I think a lot of folks were reckoning that this was the day for Discreet Dancer, that front-running style. Maybe he's catching a horse who's a little bit short coming off the bench. Didn't look that way to me.
Reckoning, maybe REM's best album, but I'm going to go Fables of Reconstruction. I'm going to go Fables of Reconstruction over Reckoning.
Both solid.
After hours and hours and hours of talking with James Lee, with going over dosage, with looking at replays, with studying pedigree, the number 1 horse on my 2012 Kentucky Derby list is, I think most people knew this. If you didn't see him in the top 9, you figured he'd be number 1. Thank you very much. You know what I liked about the Risen Star?
Yes, what?
So he shows that talent. He gets that buyer of 212, whatever, in his allowance win over and off racetrack. I like the guts he showed here. I want a gutty win from a horse. I don't want a gutty win from a horse in his last prep before the Derby to take something out of him. But I think a perfect time for him to be tested like that and be involved in a stretch duel and prevail.
I got a question for you, though, Matt. El Padrino really jumped onto a lot of folks' radar with that allowance win, the 2-turn allowance win at Gulfstream, and then he validates that with that very game win at Fairgrounds. Mark Valesky can't even crack into your top 10. That was his first time in Stakes Company. That was his first time around 2 turns. I thought he ran as well as the winner, and he's going to be on my top 10 one of these days.
Yeah, my also list, Mark Valesky, I have it written down here. Secret Circle, Hanson, Gemologist.
Okay, so he's honorable mention.
He's honorable mention, top 10.
All
and
right.
Again, this top 10 list brought to you by Spendthrift Farm, home of the Breed Secure program, where if you don't profit, you don't pay. Visit spendthriftfarm.com for more details. Little news here is that took a little bit of time.
Well done.
I knew it would. Thank you. Dubai World Cup. I mean, the big cat, Santa Anita Handicap, is tomorrow, Saturday, at Santa Anita. And the horse that maybe the best handicap horse that we have right now in the U.S., Game On Dude, winner of the big cap in 2000. Bob Baffert saying, hey, I've never won a $10 million race. And it's $10 million now, the Dubai.
What was it when he won it?
I think it was, I have it written down somewhere.
Like 4 or 5?
4 and then 6. He won with Real Quiet, and then he won with Captain Steve. As well. I mean, I like it. Even though he'd be favored in the Santa Anita Handicap, even though he loves that track at Santa Anita, it's a $10 million race. You have great horses from around the world.
Oh, you got to go.
I like the fact that he's doing
synthetic. He stays at 1.25 miles. He doesn't mind being in a dogfight. Matt, if those 4 horses, the horses that we just listed as possible, if those 4 are in the gate for that race, I don't care who the other 10 are. That's going to be amazing.
Okay, and and the last horse from again, now it's a synthetic situation at Meydan. It was dirt forever. So this graphic here is a little misleading, Rich, because all these horses are doing this over a dirt track. The last 2 years, Victoire Pisa at a big price won in 2011. U.S. horses last year, Gio Ponte 5th, turf horse basically. Richard's Kid 12th, Fly Down 13th. 2010, Gio Ponte 4th, Richard's Kid 7th. Furthest Land, who was a synthetic horse, ran last. So now you're getting different results a little bit now that it's a synthetic service.
Okay,
different horses going over there.
So you're saying that list we just saw of the U.S.-based winners, conditions favored the U.S.-based horses?
Well, don't you think? A little bit?
Yes, I do, yeah.
And the handicap division was a little stronger back then as well. Yeah, Royal Delta, after losing to Awesome Maria by 8 in the Sabine, still going over there, and Bill Mott is optimistic. I would say that on that list, Animal Kingdom would have the best shot for the Game On Dude has a chance as well, but Animal Kingdom over the synthetic surface. Picks recast, myself, track announcer, analyst, Frank Miramati. Yay! 4-5 winner. Yay!
Oh.
It was that. When I'm picking 2-5
you know,
and 4-5,
pounded him down
Rich.
to 2-5 was Joaquin. That's his favorite horse.
Yeah, Comodero. Yeah, Joaquin was doing somersaults. Zach and Matt, personal Swami for me. Even money. Second. Play of the day, deceased. 16-1, but still didn't run. Did not run. I'm minus 5-2 right now as we enter the third month of the calendar year. Time for our one and only. Oh, play of the day! I forgot about that. Oh, play of the day. We do that now, but before our only break. We don't do it at the end of the show now. I'm going to go Anita Handicap. Sometimes I get, oh, you guys don't talk about some of the big races elsewhere. I'm going to talk about the Anita Handicap. And now without Game On Due, it makes sense to talk about this race anyway. Ultimate Eagle. I mean, he put away Tapazar. He won by 7. It was his dirt debut. It was awesome. I think there's other pace in this race. I'm going to go with a horse at a price that I've always liked in a wide-open event, and that's Holiday Road, the 12. Julio Canani, Rafael Bejarano. I liked his win. I saw him in person at Hollywood 2 starts back, and Canani put him on dirt. And I know he took advantage of a hot pace on the 28th of January. This is a good racehorse that ran well on dirt, that should get the trip in his 8-1 morning line. So I'll go with Holiday Road, and I got to hope horses like Gladding and horses like 35th Street and Fiddler's of Fleet can soften up Ultimate Eagle at 1.25 miles in the Big Cat. Last race on the card at San Anita on Saturday, race number 11. Time now for our one and only commercial timeout. When we come back, we'll delve into the Saturday card at Aqueduct and talk a little John Battaglia from Turfway. Welcome back to Blinkers Off. This week on the Derby Trail, Gotham Stakes Grade 3, $400,000 now that purse, featuring Hanson, 2-year-old Eclipse Award winner of the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, and the John Battaglia Memorial Stakes, $100,000 at Turfway Park. It's our spotlight race for Saturday. And we're accustomed to seeing fields of like 85 in these stakes races at Turfway. We're not seeing that here. Big scratch in my estimation in Phantom Fury. So now a field of 5 going in here. And Mr. Prankster, really? 9-5 morning line? This horse is going to be what, 3-5?
Well, in his first 2-turn race, his only 2-turn race on synthetic in the WEBN, he just blew the doors off of that field as the 9-5 favorite. So I guess he makes sense. He's an off-the-pace type runner, Matt, and Phantom Fury was one of the speed horses in here. I wonder, ill-conceived, the number 2 horse there on the stretch out, probably going to be forwardly placed. But I know that you like, and I like the horse on the rail there, a maiden Dynamical, very well-bred, son of hard spun for Mark Casse, moved over to dirt at Gulfstream Park, got a 9-furlong race, only missed by a head in this one. Looks as though he's got plenty of upside. He's a half-brother to a horse called Featherbed, who was a pretty good runner.
He couldn't get by Teeth of the Dog, who was a 2-to-1 shot for Mike Matz, who got the lead in the race and went 49-1 for the half, but he nearly got by him. He loses that race by a head. That's only your second start of your career. It's at 1 1/8 miles. Now you cut back to 1 1/16 miles. Should get the trip, should be able to finish well, cutting back in distance. Rich mentioned the pedigree. We'll both go with Dynamical to pull the, I think it will be a significant upset, because I think Mr. Prankster, off of what he did at Turfway, is going to be odds on. Gotham. This race, at first glance, when I looked at this race yesterday, I was like, oh, I can't beat Hansen. And then when you start to delve into it and you start to do your research and you really start to work on the race, I think there are some possibilities. I know Kelly Breen likes his chances with the 1 My Adonis. He is not happy with the rail for this horse, who ran a pretty good third behind Hansen, who was second, being bumped to the start in the Holy Bull. And a horse usually forwardly placed found himself 20 back early because of the bad break. Hansen at 6-5. They want this horse to rate. They want him to relax. They're taking the blinkers off. Can he execute their plan?
Good luck. And look, I think as a gambler, I think it makes sense to take a swing against him, because that all sounds good on paper, but if that does not prevent Hansen from doing what we've seen him do, which is just tug his way to the front and run hard for as long as he can, if the blinkers off does not enable him to relax in any significant way, he's vulnerable. And if you can get by Hansen in this race, it just opens wide up. You can take your pick of price horses.
We were talking before we were on the show, the 7 Suns Out, Guns Out makes some sense. He finished right behind Dynamic. We just picked Dynamic and the John Battaglia Memorial. There was no pace in that race. This horse is fairly far back, kind of closes into a race in which the horse that were 1-2 early finished 1-2 in that race. This horse is 30-1 by Empire Maker. I ended up, I really like, I'm not a huge visual guy, but I looked at Side Road's maiden win, the 10, from the 28th of January. I thought this was very impressive. You had a situation in which you had Term Loan on the lead, 35 cents on the dollar for Rick Violet. Term Loan, by the way, runs in tomorrow's 6th race in New York. The way Side Road gets by a heavy favorite, you have to back it up a little bit. He's a little tired at the end of this race, but I like the way he won. And by the way, supposed to get a lot of rain in New York. I have a good feeling. I have a feeling there might be a sloppy or a muddy racetrack. This horse is by Street Cry. You should really like it. Bullet Workout coming in. I love the way he just won. Darley Stable, Kieran McLaughlin, Alan Garcia. I'll go with Side Road at 12-1 morning line.
I'm going to go with a 20-1 morning line, the one just outside of yours, Matt. Done talking. Here's one of my toolbox angles. It's My How You've Grown. What you are looking at here is the last start of Done Talking's 2-year-old campaign. You want to play company lines? He's going to finish ahead behind El Padrino in the Remsen. He's not been seen on the racetrack since. What I want you to do is go through your PPs, look at the speed figures that Done Talking was putting up as a 2-year-old. They compare favorably with any other 2-year-old efforts you will see in this field, with the exception of Hansen, who is burying those fields at Turfway and putting up big numbers. Again, if Hansen is vulnerable, I think we got a live first-time 3-year-old at a price.
Yeah, I mean, right after Hansen, I mean, it's one of Hansen isn't at the board. You can have super effective, spend $100,000. Obviously, we talked about how the whole Saturday card in New York is very good. They have an 11-race program. Race number 9 is the Grade 3 Tom Fool, 6 furlongs, and you have Kayla's Posse at 9-5. Again, we talked in our meeting for this show. Captain Candyman Can and Kayla's Posse, they're targeting the Carter undercard on Wood Memorial Day, April 7th. It's not the layoff that really concerns me with Kayla's Posse. It's the distance. It's the 6 furlongs more than the 4-month absence. I think he wants more ground. Wins the dirt. 2 best performances, 7 furlongs in a mile.
Yeah, but here's the thing for me, because this race is a race I didn't have to handicap, Matt. Caleb's Posse he's it for me. I'm a loyal guy. Caleb's Posse Caleb's Posse was responsible for my 2 best hits of 2011.
I know you love doing the King's Bishop
and the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. So he's my guy. The thing is,
coming out so loyal. That's so sweet, Rich. I didn't know that.
This time,
what a softie.
Look, coming out of the King's Bishop, I knew that Caleb's Posse was going to show up in one of the Breeders' Cup one-turn races. I didn't know whether he would shorten up for the sprint or extend out to the mile. Whichever way he had gone, I was going with him. That's how strongly I feel about his one-turn potential. Look, his one-turn record lifetime is 8 starts, 6 wins, a second and a third. He's won 5 in a row around one turn. He does have wins on his resume at this distance, and I believe even shorter than 6. He may be a short horse because, as Matt points out, he's prepping for a Grade 1. Yeah. This race has been shortened and downgraded.
He may run on the ground. If it's a sloppy racetrack, speed favoring. I am the MC. I love young MC, and I'm going to bust and move with MC, the 4 here in the Tom Fool Handicap.
Okay.
How about second start of your career, first start in 5 months, you go 20-4, you earn a buyer of 107, only race this year in North America with a higher buyer is my guy Peter Walder in Force Freeze with a 108 at Gulfstream. Associate was 3-5 in that race. He buried him in that event. This horse is going to sit right behind Royal Courier. I think he's the real deal. I don't think he's going to bounce. I think he's had time to recover from that win on the 3rd of February, especially with the ease in which he, was competing at the last 1/8 of a mile of that race.
Royal Courier, who is the 6-furlong track record holder at Parks, by the way.
And he's going to be in front of the price with Dominguez. Top Flight, Grade 2, $200,000 event. We're running out of time in the show. I don't think we need a lot of time, at least I don't, to talk about this race. It's Tricky is a multiple Grade 1 winner. It's Tricky ran second to Royal Delta in the Ladies Classic, who will be competing in the World Cup on March 31st. And It's Tricky has run extremely well fresh, and It's Tricky likes a wet surface.
Yeah, she's won fresh before, not off this kind of a fresh thing. I'm not trying to knock her. It's impossible to do that. That's why she's 1-4 in the morning line. I'll take a swing with Delightful Mary. Generally speaking, if Delightful Mary doesn't hook Awesome Feather, she goes to the winner's circle. So I'll take a shot at a little bit of a price.
She's the other horse, 5 for 9, made a half mile. Out of the big name horses, Hanson, Caleb's Posse, and It's Tricky. It's Tricky is the most likely winner of the 3. Not only is an 11-race program in New York, not only do they have graded stake race after graded stake race after graded stake race, it's Caribbean Day at Aqueduct.
Wow.
On Saturday. It's pretty exciting. You're kind of look at Rich Perloff.
You can't help it.
Yeah. You just want to move. You just want to. This is going to be exciting. Hopefully, it won't be diseased weather for these folks.
Get up my stilts.
I don't want them to be out. Although, wow.
Uh-oh.
And if they're outside in the pouring rain, watch out.
I can't do that move.
Watch out. Yeah, they might have to wear their galoshes.
Bathurst is living.
Oh, geez. Yeah, that's a tall guy, isn't it? Very tall guy.
You were looking at a guy?
So you're okay with the list that you saw? You're okay with that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I
you weren't too critical. I appreciate that.
I respect Letwin.
You're a sweet guy today. Wow. Rich Perloff, a softie on Blinkers Off. Next time, we're efforting another sensational guest for Blinkers Off. That next time will be March 9th.